Yeah.
Everyone. So lovely to see your faces. So I am really excited to chat with you today. And really, it is going to be a little bit of a conversation. I know we're having questions at the end, but feel free to use your chat and jump in, answer the questions that I'm asking. I want to make sure that we're keeping it lively and keeping it connected. So you already know the title. We're talking about the common pitfalls in um, automation, specifically thinking about AI and automation for customer onboarding. That's me. And the agenda for today really want to go through a really quick introduction of myself, icebreaker with the people in the room, and then looking into the topic at hand, really digging into process, a little bit about AI, and a bit of the secret sauce that I have for what I see as the main pitfalls. So, for introduction, that's me. I've been working in the tech industry for over 10 years. I also have a background in improv, so doing a lot of comedy and presenting, which has been really interesting to kind of tie all of my things together. And done a lot of speaking, have a lot of love for process optimization, and salty feelings when it comes to AI and how we're implementing it. So for the icebreaker, since we're not coming off mute, you can just type into the chat your name, where you're calling in from or joining us today, your familiarity with AI, and your favorite food. I'm gonna tell you right now, mine is jollof rice. I want to see what we have in the chat here. So let me look at the chat. Where did the chat go? Okay, awesome. Grapes. I also love grapes. A very good snack. I know there are a couple other people, so I'm going to wait for one or two more before we move on. So let me know your name, where you're calling from, your familiarity, and everybody's so healthy. Fruits and vegetables. I'm on like, yes, yes, I love that. Thank you. Phone on my phone. We're on the same page. I love that. Very nice. Uh, just to get us warmed up a little bit. So, what am I going to share next? I want to talk a little bit about process. So we're looking at optimizing, we're looking at automation. Essentially, we're looking at how we can improve things. And so we have to know what that process is. Um, Curious what you think when you're thinking about a process. You've all probably worked in different capacities and had to work with processes, whether it was at home, in the office. And so just to make sure we're all on the same page, I wanted to share a couple definitions. So we have a series of actions and steps, probably the first thing that everyone thought of. And then there's also more like a systematic series of events or a program that's executed for a system that could be running and protecting it from other processes. So processes working in conjunction with one another. And thank you for the other responses. I see someone really likes steak and someone likes mango. Very healthy group. I love that. We're eating well, and I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so jump into AI. Also want to do a little bit of defining there. So I would like everyone to put into the chat the first thing that comes to their mind when they hear AI. So like, what is AI? Let's put something quickly in the chat. I see Chat GPT in here. Very nice. See what other people are thinking of. Even if you don't have an answer, if you're thinking of nothing, you can put a question mark. You can put a confused emoji face. Just put something in there that really explains how you're feeling. Okay, time saver, virtual assistants on the go, reduction of mundane tasks. All right, very nice. So when we are officially defining AI, it goes over a lot of different definitions, and there can also be a lot of miscommunication and disagreement about what those actually mean. The definition that I'm going to use right here today is what you have on the screen, a branch of computer science that aims to build machines that are capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. So from what you've all put in the chat, you all are kind of aligning with tools and topics that are in conjunction with this particular definition. I like the boom emoji. Very nice, Chica. I appreciate that. So when you are doing further digging into what AI is, there's actually a lot more to it than the LLMs that most people think of, the chat GPTs, the Claudes, all of that, or even when you're thinking of like your Amazon Echo and all of those types of tools. There are a lot of different aspects and areas. So we're looking at machine learning and neural networks. We're looking at natural language processing and robotics. All of these things can be encapsulated underneath the overall general explanation of artificial intelligence. We also, this is just, one way of visualizing it, but I really like this next visualization because you can see how things are really encapsulated into one another, right? So we have artificial intelligence as an overall section, an overall idea. And we have within that machine learning, within that further, we have deep learning, natural language processing, and computer vision. And you can see there the little red arrow is pointing to LLMs, which Stella has put into the chat for everyone. That's a large language model. The main thing that most people are thinking about when they're thinking about AI today, the most things that lay people are thinking about is large language models. Now, since this conversation is about customer onboarding, I would like to know in the chat what you are thinking about just as yourself as a customer when you're signing on a new product or a new website, or yourself as a professional that might be working with customers that you're onboarding. What are the things that come to mind when you think about the customer onboarding process? If you could put them in the chat. Okay, we have some answers coming in. Someone said signing up on a new website for a service. Okay, so what else is in that process? We have speaking to the right people, getting your questions answered. Okay, filling out forms, possibly some sort of agreement form. Any other thoughts about what could be in the process? Lots of filling out forms. Okay, so I want everyone to imagine that you are signing on to Duolingo. Show of hands for those that are on camera who knows Duolingo. Yeah, beautiful. If you don't know Duolingo, just think of a language learning app. All right. Um, Beautiful. Oh, it showed my hand was raising and then it put the logo there. All right. So the process after you sign up, contracts, questionnaires, calls, etc., training, prospective clients drawn from social media, um, pulling them to your website to schedule a consultation. Okay, very nice. Lots of really great ideas. So we all put ourselves in the mindset of someone signing up for Duolingo. That's literally the first part. You are finding the website, you're finding the area where you can learn more about the particular product, and you are information that says, yes, I would like to sign up. So you're giving them some sort of information, you're filling out that initial form. Then what happens? Do you immediately get access? Or is there a step that tends to happen in between? So if you think you immediately get access, just put a 1 in the chat. And if you think that there's steps in between, put a 2 in the chat. So just a 1 or a 2. 2 for additional steps, 1 for main access. Okay, perfect. Often there's a welcome email. Sometimes there's some sort of process that involves you confirming that you are actually the person that has that email address, right? Stuff that's going on behind the scenes, like Uzo was saying, things that you do not see. I'm going to show the steps that I have written out here so we can kind of walk through this even further with this example. So we signed on to Duolingo and we are getting all of our information in, our username, password, and then we're probably getting some sort of welcome email. After you get that, maybe you're confirming your email address. There's some other steps involved, and you will finally log in. Maybe it says, hi Namdi, hi Chika. It calls you by name because it's been given your information, so it's using that to speak to you. You might go in and change your settings. Maybe you want your screen to be in dark mode versus light mode. Maybe you want to have um, you know, the choice that you're going to do one Duolingo training every week, or you want to be a superstar that's doing 5 every week, right? You're setting in your particular checks and balances for what you want to do. On and on and on, as is written out here. And there was someone that mentioned asking questions and getting queries, and that I would put under things like the knowledge base, right? So when you're thinking about this process, now that we're looking at Duolingo as an example, there could be certain pitfalls that could come to play. Yes, Uzo, absolutely. Um, there could be certain pitfalls that come to play, and that's what I want to chat about next. Let's change the screen. All right. Um, and for my mind, based on what I've shared about artificial intelligence at a high level and processes at a high level and customer onboarding at a high level, I think there is one very major pitfall. Um, and I'm just curious if anyone can guess what they think that might be as far as I'm concerned. And if you don't have a guess for what I'm thinking, just put a question mark in the chat. But if you have a guess, go ahead and drop that in. Some people are not sure what I might be thinking. All right, I'm keeping you on your toes. All right. So I gave a little bit of a clue earlier when we started. I said that I have some spicy feelings about AI, and I'm not a super fan. And so for my mind, when you're looking at, okay, I have an onboarding process that I'd like to automate. I have any sort of process I'd like to automate. My mind says, if you're not looking at that optimization of the process, you're not digging into what your process actually is and how it's actually working, then you're leaving a lot on the table. Process optimization, you're essentially going in and looking at what your actual process is and seeing if it works as is before you start moving it over to a digital platform or a more automated process, or if there are things that need to be tweaked and changed about that particular process before you do that. The value there for my mind is what we're seeing here, where you're confirming what actually is a process. When I mentioned customer onboarding earlier, we all had different ideas. So if we were building a product or if we were looking at our own systems, we'd have to really clarify what are the processes that we're looking at. What's the stepwise way that we want our customer to go through our website or our app in order to get to the end goal for them. And then we should be thinking about, okay, what's our overall goal? If we're meeting our goal as is there a need to automate? Perhaps not. If we're meeting our goal and we're off in Timbuktu somewhere, maybe we need to reassess and clean up our practices around our process before even considering taking it to an automated process or trying to use a chatbot to help with portions of that process. Does that make sense? See some nods? Okay, awesome. So I want to take it to an example that is not tech related at all, just to kind of really sink this in. So if I were to ask you, and you don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to, but if I were to ask you, how do you make jollof rice? What are the steps? So everyone just think about it in your heart, in your mind. What are the steps when you're making jollof rice? If you don't know jollof rice, if you're making any other rice, just high level, what are those steps? If we were actually all going to do that, we would probably end up with different things, right? So these are examples of different jollof rices from different countries, different creators. They all have steps set out a little bit differently. They all had different goals, right? One of them really wanted to have a mound shape, right? So that's an example of a goal that they wanted that doesn't quite match up with the goals other people had. So you really have to look at not only what are my current steps and do they even exist? Are they written down? A lot of times people aren't as organized as they would like to be. And then you're looking at, okay, what are my high level things that I'm looking for? What are those values or goals that I'm reaching out towards? Does that make sense? Is everyone thinking about eating jollof rice later now? A couple people are, yeah. Myself as well. So the reason that that matters, those processes that you're looking at, digging down into the goals, is because when we have poor customer onboarding, we have a lot of negative outcomes that can come to play. So we're looking at things like high churn, customers jumping on and not sticking with the product. If they're not doing that, they're not talking about the product, they're not sharing it with their friends, and you're not getting that word of mouth to get more people onto it. They're not sticking around to buy more or to use the product more. They're not, staying around for maybe a secondary year or additional products. And it really kind of could be showing areas where there's that lack of engagement or there's poor fit, which ultimately leads to reduced revenue, which is not something anybody wants, right? I see some mentions in the comment. Um, all right, we have some feelings about Naija Jollof. I do not want to start a war. I would say we just have a party. Bring all the jollof and we can all eat together. That's the way I feel about it. And we have we have thoughts about agile projects. Yeah, being clear on what is being done can mean different things to different people, right? So I love that comment, Stella. I know that you're a master of agile, so I appreciate that comment. When you're looking at the steps of what you want to do and you're looking at your process, if you're not clear on those processes and goals, if you're not um, aware of which particular impact you're trying to, work against, you might spend more time spinning your wheels than you would like. And ultimately, we're trying to have an increased time um, with the customers on our sites so that we can reduce the time to value for them. There are a lot of uh, statistics that go into this area that really, really highlight how important this is. So one is around the fact that customers or companies that spend 10% of their revenue on customer success end up reporting really high retention rates from those customers. And when we're looking at highly engaged customers, they tend to buy 90% more often compared to those that are less engaged. They're also spending more time per transaction. So if you think about someone like a product that's a retailer, perhaps, you would want people there using the product, being able to have ease of use so that they can easily figure out what they need to be doing, how they can use the website or the platform, which is important for sales. And the last thing I'll say on that is that poor onboarding is the third most important reason for customer churn, from different statistics that I found. And that's after the product fit being incorrect entirely and lack of engagement. So in a world where you've done your research and you are correctly assigning product fit per the customers that you're looking at, and you are getting them engaged, they can just completely drop off if once they log into the website, they can't find the link to do X, Y, and Z. They're confused about what they need to do. When they try to do something, it has an opposite effect than what they expect. I'm sure we can all think about times we've been on websites or apps that didn't seem intuitive at all and also weren't helpful to make it easier for you to use them. I have examples of those, and I just removed the app. Why am I stressing myself to struggle through something if I can find a better one that works more easily for me? And that's what our customers do. And overall, just to wrap up the considerations that improving that customer onboarding process have, and why really just sitting back and looking at the processes before even considering if you want to automate it or if you're trying to bring in AI is because you have all of these benefits that can come to play when you're doing your customer onboarding correctly. Time to value, you're not wasting time trying different things. You're able to move more quickly and get those customers on board faster. You are enhancing your product stickiness, which has to do with that engagement piece. People remember the product, they are aware of it and keep wanting to go back to it, making it more likely for them to reach out to you. In the event that you are deciding, yes, I'd like to put my processes through an automation, when someone signs up, they get an automatic email that tells them to confirm their email address and password, or when someone has done certain activities on the site, they're given a tutorial or something that helps them move along. That can be really helpful because you can also use that information to do things like identify at-risk customers, which goes right into that customer health score, understanding where your customers might be dropping off so you know how to reach out to them. I think someone in the chat mentioned something about following up with people, right? So if someone is signing up for a site, they sign up and they never do anything after they sign up the first time, maybe there's a certain workflow that they would go through for that. And that could be something that exists manually or is changed into something that is automated, where you have not even AI really, but just using business process automation tools to help that along. If it's something that has to do with, say, responsiveness when customers have questions, maybe you're looking through your knowledge base and getting those most likely asked questions that seem to precede people leaving, and you are creating or using tools with a large language model to assist with that. But really figuring out what the need you're trying to strike at would then help you decide which direction you would need to go in. So with that, I wanted to open it up to not just questions, but discussion. If there's anything that was mentioned that people would like to dig into a little bit further, or if folks would like to share about how their experiences align with what's been shared thus far.
Yeah, I think Atanusa has some questions in the chat. I think that was very practical about just with her business. I think she could, you could maybe answer those. That would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Um,
Hmm.
so you're talking about the how you're pulling information to help you schedule consultations. Do you want to share more about what it is you're looking for there?
Am I muted? Yes, I
No,
am.
you're not muted. I can hear you.
Okay. Um, what I want is somebody comes in, somebody jumps on my website or notices me on social media and they've had a look at whatever I put out there and they want to quickly schedule a consultation. I just don't know the steps they need to take to link them to the service that does my intake. I use something called Lawmatics for my intake, but there's still some gap in my understanding
Mm,
regarding how Lawmatics, how to send the social media to Lawmatics, send the link, make the person link up from me into Lawmatics so that their name can be on the system in Lawmatics. I can do it manually. That is to say, if
mm,
the person chooses the option to call me, place a phone call, I answer, or there's somebody who answers on my behalf, and they manually enter a name into the database and
okay.
schedule you for a consult. So
Okay.
that's what I don't understand. And then I think the one I just don't even get, what I would like to do if my world was perfect is once you've decided I want to schedule, once you've made that decision and scheduled an appointment, I really do like someone to have, I think it's a little extra thing to give them. And it also helps them come in prepared for their consultation. Quickly send out an article on the area of the law. Say somebody comes in, I've been a U.S. citizen, I've had a green card for 5 years, I want to naturalize. I'd like to have that my system quickly just send them an article on naturalization, but I know that presupposes that I've prepared the articles and stored them. But how to make it happen for each particular
Mm,
area of immigration law which I practice.
okay. Um, Thank you for clarifying that further. I'm not aware of this particular platform,
Mm.
but the first things that come to mind for me, just thinking about um, what I feel might be similar platforms. Are you aware of Calendly?
Yeah, I do Calendly. Mhm.
Okay. So when I was thinking about Calendly, thinking about how um, you're able to set up like questionnaire where people can put in or select different things, and that can be used to essentially put someone to a particular workflow where you might say, um, you know, type A, they would get article A, and that would be maybe an email that is sent to them that has the link to that particular email or link to that particular article. I think linking it would be a little bit easier than sending a PDF, but that's just top of mind what comes to my mind. Um, is is there any kind of routing to your understanding in this platform that you have?
I don't think they do the integrate with Calendly anymore, but it used to be
Mm,
that I could send a Calendly link and it would appear. But it will whoever signs up with the Calendly link will be
mm,
automatically sent into Lawmatics. But I think it's generically it could be any software. I just
okay.
mentioned that name just because
Okay. Yeah, I
sometimes
think that's the big part. There is a one of the slides had something to do with integrations and um so to my mind it's the onboarding for Lawmatics or whatever that particular site is. They should have a better process for those kinds of linkages. Um,
but
if it's not automatically, sorry again?
I'm sorry, I'm just here trying to understand how generically that can be done because some people design their own software
That's true. Yeah. Um,
without one that generic. knowledge
think,
that can be replicated with other software.
yeah, I would say that the real high level is some sort of conditional statement that's pulling in the fact that because A, then I'm going to send you document A or link A. Something of that nature is the super, super high level way to do it. And if they're getting some sort of reply email that confirms that they've put that information in, they should also be able to have that information pull in to whatever you need. And if it's not a direct connection like you'd want it to be, perhaps another database tool would be more efficient.
Okay. Thank you.
Namdi, did you have a question?
Just had a thought to what attorney was talking about. There are so many CRM tools now that are AI powered, that will do exactly what you're trying to do. That would do that and even more, like send text messages, do reminders. You can, like Shiyanbade, we're talking about workflows. You can build out the workflows exactly how, and it's GUI for most of them. So you can literally drag and drop when somebody fills out if this response, then send this message. Or so there's really good CRMs now that will do that. Yes, customer relationship management. Yes, that's but there are really good ones that will do that. Like especially since you're talking about sharing articles, you can host knowledge bases on some of them, thinking like high level HubSpot.
Yeah.
Even simpler ones like the Honeybooks will do even contracts as well. So I can send you a list, attorney. I can send you the one we use, and there is and other ones you can explore, but what you're looking for already exists. And it will make your life very easy in terms of just
I know. I know. I'm just like trying to get that understanding and that's
yeah.
of how it works, because I think that's why I'm here today. Because I always like to know a little bit about what I'm getting into, just for myself, because otherwise you're going to be at someone's mercy.
That's
that
very
that
true.
part.
So we have another question. Is it possible for these AI models to make mistakes? Are there any risks associated with the AI learning the existing system and building the new workflow for customer onboarding? 100% possible for AI models to make mistakes. They're created by humans, and humans make mistakes all the time. They're also built off of data, especially when we're thinking about your LLMs, right? It's feeding in a lot of data, so it's ingesting a lot of biases. The concept of kind of garbage in, garbage out exists here as well. I would say outside of kind of environmental or larger overarching risks with using AI, when you're talking about it learning the existing system and using it to build workflows for your onboarding, I have two thoughts. One, if you're using kind of external AI applications or LLMs, large language models, you want to be really careful about the information that you're giving it. You don't want to give it, proprietary information that you wouldn't want to share. High level kind of process clarity or understanding, if that's kind of questions you want to ask it, but I wouldn't, give it your secret sauce, for lack of a better term. Another thing that certain people have done is creating their own kind of internal GPT using the existing ones as a building block. And I think that keeps it more in-house for their use. And so that can eliminate some of the issues with it being kind of used in a more public LLM. If anyone has any other insights to add on that, please share. Otherwise, I'm skeptical about AI learning existing data information, especially if external intruders lays or gains access to it. I personally am not aware of that particular use case, but it sounds like a situation where if, say, Claude or OpenAI was hacked, right? If that were to happen, then that information, if they're able to glean what's there, then obviously that can be accessed. So yeah, it really is just wise in general to not put out what you wouldn't want to get out, right? There's a concept around how you speak and how you act, where it's like, if you wouldn't want your grandmother to read it in the newspaper, then don't say it. That kind of a concept. And I think that also can be applied to the idea of like what you're putting into your tools and LLMs. Curious why we avoid adding the secret sauce. Is it a case of it coming up in someone else's search as AI generated? My understanding is that it's being fed into the overall system. You're adding it to the data that exists. So now it's data that exists in the collective understanding. I don't know that it's possible to say, hey ChatGPT, tell me what Namdi has been doing lately. I don't think it's going to be able to like target to that effect. But since it is being held in larger databases, massive databases, like I said previously, if anything were to happen to those areas, it could be used. I think this is something that has come up a lot for people in the creative fields. I know a lot of artists that are adding things to their art before they upload it, so that it'll essentially poison the LLM generator so that it cannot see the art that they've created. Right? People are already doing these things. There are lots of folks. There's a lot of kind of litigation that's going on around people who are saying, this has gleaned the internet. It has kind of like pulled all of this information from the books that I've written, from the art that I've painted or drawn, and now I'm getting zero compensation for things that are actively using my IP, right? So there are definitely things to consider there. Okay, so for anyone on the call who wants to get started with AI knowledge and more, where would you recommend to get started? I love that question. I think there are a couple different ways that I've seen people doing it. And so I can share one. I know of people that are, really, really keen on learning the differences and understanding the ins and outs of these applications. And so they're signing up and they're testing and they're working on, for LLM specifically, kind of prompt engineering, what you need to write into the prompt to get the type of answer that you're actually looking for. So there's definitely a lot of tweaking involved. There's also, side note, folks that are doing that are then able to kind of recognize certain patterns to the point where they can say like, oh, this text looks like it was written by Claude. Oh, this text looks like it was written by ChatGPT, which I find very interesting. For folks that are more deeply trying to get higher overviews, there are all sorts of free learnings and workshops that you can join where they're actively taking you through how to create in or do prompt engineering, things of that nature. And then thirdly, I would say the area that I'm trying to lean into a little bit more is AI ethics. And so looking at kind of opposed to books that take time to be published, looking at journals and articles that scientists are writing to really be on the kind of pulse of what is changing, because it's really moving very quickly. Are there any other questions or anything that you want me to go back to from the previous slides? Oh, you're most welcome.
I have a quick question. So, for anyone who's probably starting their business from scratch or just starting, what recommendation would you make in how they can embed AI to their operations, making it like simple, just simple, it has simple integration? I know I'm talking about Calendly, which of course some of these tools already have that AI enhancements to it, but how would you just recommend, or what tool would you recommend?
Yeah, I think that so I've worked in companies that do robotic process automation, and before it was called that, I'm sure it had another name, and now they're calling it intelligent automation. You might have heard of agentic AI, right? Like they're all on the different building blocks and steps. And for my mind, I see it as automating your processes. So, first step, what are the things that you're trying to do? And when you're searching online, looking for tools that have those automations built in. So, something like Calendly, where it gets automatically put on your calendar, you have automatic reminders, so you don't have to keep track of that. Um, there are things in Canva that are used to make websites, make imaging, and that can be something that could be aided with the AI tooling that they have inside of them. Um, that's what first comes to mind for me. Um, but I'm curious if there's anyone else on the call that has looked into that specifically. Yep. Yeah, there are chatbots. I think those are, I feel like those are even less AI, or when you're thinking of AI, than a large language model. That really just feels to me like if then search. Um, if they're asking about late orders, then send this answer. So I don't have any offhand. It could be something that I could share forward to Namdi to send over to the rest of the group, but that's not something I have right now in front of me.
Yeah, I think one recommendation I can also give is that some of the tools that we already use, maybe just doing a quick Google search on either any AI enhancement they already have. Like, I mean, Zoom now has this
Mhm.
AI champion that takes your meeting notes for you. That eliminates, you having to take your meeting notes manually. So some of the tools already have AI element, we just don't know what it is. And I think also just the way AI is sometimes branded as something that people cannot understand, really it just really helps sometimes make so much life easier, processes more efficient. And I think everyone should definitely know that it's the barrier to entry is pretty much easy. We take some time to study and use it.
Yes, absolutely right. There are a lot of free. I mean, ChatGPT is free. You don't have to pay for it to get usage. Claude is the same. And if you really wanted to say, I just want to have a familiarity with the different LLMs that exist, yeah, just like we've stated, get your list, set a time a week to play in one environment and kind of see how it responds to the prompts that you're giving it, what the functionality looks like. If it's something where um, you have a need for a tool like Zoom, Canva, Slack, there's so many. I feel like everyone is really jumping to put AI tools or to brand tools as AI in their applications. So I would say really, really see if the tool is doing what you need, because just like it's useful to know what your process and your goals are before you move forward to try to optimize and then automate. Um, I would put that right into this conversation as well. Like, what are the processes? What are the things I'm trying to do? Who has similar things? Like, who are my peers in that world that are already doing the types of things I'd like to do, and what sort of things are they doing? And then would they work for me? Are there any other questions or thoughts?
Wanted to something you were talking about earlier to answering one of the earlier questions around privacy and having your things compromised with AI. A lot of the models now also give you the option. So I know with ChatGPT, you can adjust your settings to ensure that your information is not used to train the GPT, the model, because everything we do, that's how, like you said, it's data. It's all powered by data. So, but you have, I think everyone should pay attention to those options. Maybe go behind and check the settings, and you can explicitly ask that your data not be used as part of the training, to train the model. But it's always there. So the systems are built to learn. That's machine learning. They've always been around. You wonder why, say, YouTube kind of knows what you're going to listen to and it suggests songs. It's all AI. It's been around for a long time. It's just a trend. It's just trending now, but it's always been in use. So it's really go explore the behind, not just the prompts and getting results, but also just learning how, taking some time to see how it works, and make sure it's yeah, it's turned on automatically. So if you don't turn it off so it doesn't train, give ChatGPT your information, it will give it to you. And then the other one too, with
And can I
how
just say really quickly before you go on,
yeah.
that is the case for most apps.
Yeah.
It's the case for your phone. It's the case for WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Like it's the case for most apps. Most of them, they don't have you opting in to give them your data. They have you opting
Opting
out,
out.
and at times they even make it difficult to find. So I just want to put that out there in case it's, you have time when you're eating your jollof, you want to just sit back and scroll through and look up, what are the how do I turn off my data, or how do I increase my data privacy? I think that's a huge point that I'm a big fan of. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Namdi.
Yeah, and then the other thing that to the business, different ways you can use AI if you're starting a business. One of the biggest needs for most businesses is, and I think this is for me as someone who is doing in business, apart from automation with workflow and internal like operations, my next favorite thing for AI is content. That like content marketing, so you can leverage that the money and time you spend on like whether it's putting together graphics and social media posts and marketing and even ads, you can leverage AI for those things in your business. Again, it's eventually there's where you still need the professionals to help you out with certain things. But for someone who's starting, and those are areas, especially for basic content creation, AI is a is a blessing. There's the image ones, put your thoughts and then it creates LinkedIn posts for you, articles, blogs, at least SEO and things like that. It serves in those areas as well. So marketing, creatives, AI is your best friend.
Yeah, they don't make it easy. Someone just said to opt out of things.
No.
It's a push and pull. There's this idea where I think you might have heard it. You can have something, um, there tends to be things in threes. So for cybersecurity and privacy, there's convenience and there's security. I think the other one might be cost or something of that nature. And yeah, they really do make it difficult. You're trying to be very secure, then it won't be easy to access things. If I right now say I don't want to use Google, for example, there's just so many things that become that much more difficult because they make it so difficult to kind of move yourself around from that. And that's the same way that um, it works when you're looking at things like privacy. We have about 3 minutes. Are there any other questions? I don't know if there
Can
are
I
rules against. Oh, go
say
ahead.
something? Yes. I want to appreciate you for your knowledge and your expertise. I joined this call. I signed up when I saw your last name because it's the same last name that I got. So that was why I joined it. But I want to say that in my experience, I just started using AI and I am finding it very intriguing, exciting. I see why it tells me stuff and I say, no, you're wrong. You're giving me what I don't need. That's not what I asked you to give to me. So I guess you're able to prompt it to really prune it to direct it to where you really need it to be. So in terms of automation and processes, I guess we will get there. I think it's good for people like us that are busy, for us to be able to attain such technologies or however way it is structured, so that it can benefit our businesses and organizations. So I just want to say thumbs up to you and to all the coordinators. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Think we are 2 minutes to 1 o'clock to the top of the hour. Can we show love to Shiyanbade? That was an incredible session. Thank you so much for all of the knowledge and the wisdom that you've shared. And we can't wait for part 2 and 3 and all of it. So thank you so much. For everyone, this will be shared in Circle eventually. So if you're not in Circle, I've put the link in the chat. Join our community on Circle. That's where we continue the conversations and all of that. So please, and then don't just come and attend the programs and expert series because you found it somewhere. Come and join the community. All right, be a part of it. Find ways to get plugged in and be a part of what we're doing. We have our summit, our annual summit, coming up in June next month, June 28th, and I believe Shiyanbade will be a speaker at that event as well, right? So if you want to see her in person, sign up for the summit. It's going to be incredible. We're making a big push for that. The link is also in the chat. I've shared it and Stella sharing that again. So go ahead and sign up for the summit. We are also calling for people to get involved. So once you sign up for the summit and join Circle, you know we don't want to overwhelm you with announcements in the chat now, but you find out ways to get involved. We need all the help we can get with planning. We are in the thick of planning and running around and trying to get things prepared for the summit. If you want to, that's anyhow you want to volunteer, we have opportunities for you to volunteer and help out. But start by signing up on Circle. We're making calls every day, all day. And please register for the summit and then tell everyone, take the link and share with everyone in your circle in your within your circle, within your reach. Let people know the summit is coming. We want to make it a resounding success. We want to make it loud and bigger. We had our first one last year and it was incredible. And we're looking forward to making it even bigger. We have a bigger venue. We have a bigger collection of speakers now. And all of that. And we're still making calls for speakers, by the way. So if you are really talented and great in a certain area and you feel like the world needs to hear your voice, there's opportunities as well. We still have speaking opportunities open as panelists or breakout room sessions. So reach out to us and we'll get you that information. But go sign up for the event. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. It's 1 o'clock. We'll be back again next Saturday for an incredible session with another speaker on a different topic. So keep an eye out for who we have coming up next week. But till then, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day.